day and welcome to the Q4 Results Investor Conference Call of Dabur India Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your phone. Please note that the conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Gagan Ahluwalia. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the management of Dabur India Limited, I welcome you to this conference call pertaining to results for the quarter and year ended 31st March 2020. We have here with us Mr. Mohit Malhotra, Executive Officer, Dabur India Limited, Mr. Lalit Malik, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Ashok Jain, Senior VP Finance and Company Secretary, and Mr. Ankit Jain, Head Financial Planning and Analysis. We will now start with an overview of the company's performance by Mr. Malhotra, followed by a Q&A session. In the interest of time, we request you to limit your questions to 2 per person so that everyone may get a chance to interact. You may come back in the queue, permitting if time permits. Thank you, and now over to Mohit.
Thank you, Gagan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on Dabur India Limited's conference call pertaining to results for the quarter and the year ended 31st March 2020. We hope that you and all your families are staying well and safe. The current pandemic that we all are facing is an unprecedented one. As you know, there is close to 5.5 million confirmed cases of coronavirus in the world. India has come to close over 150,000 confirmed cases and is yet to see a flattening of the curve. As lockdowns are being lifted and restrictions on movement are being eased in certain areas, operations in FMCG industry are seeing a gradual revival. Coming to the performance for financial year 20, we saw a 2% growth in consolidated revenue from operations. For the 11 months ended 29 February 2020, we are growing at the rate of 6.4%, but were materially impacted in March on account of lockdowns during the second half of the month. Unfortunately for us, the lockdowns in March also overlapped with the pre-season sales of our summer-skewed brands like juices, glucose, pudina, hair oils, and ethical portfolio. In terms of reported PAT, we saw flattish performance in financial year 20. If we look at the PAT before exceptional items for the 11 months ended 29 February 2020, there was a growth of 12.8%. COVID-19 has a material impact of 360 crores on the top line and around INR 115 crores on the bottom line. Dabur was on track to deliver another strong year of performance with around 6% revenue growth and 13.8% PAT before exceptional growth if COVID-19 had not happened. Our reported PAT would have seen a growth of around 8% had COVID-19 not been there. The true barometer for performance is the growth in 11 months of financial year 20, and from now I'll be referring that to as YTD February 20 growth. Healthcare portfolio was witnessing a strong 11.4% YTD February 20 growth driven by topical marketing campaigns, localized sales activations, and sustained investments behind our power brands. Health supplements grew by 12.9% in YTD February 20, led by robust growth in Chyawanprash and glucose. Dabur Glucose and Dabur Chyawanprash saw an improvement of more than 100 bps and 400 bps in the market share respectively. The digestives category recorded a growth of 14.2%, driven by strong performance of Hajmola and Pudina. Ethical business, which is the backbone of our company, continued to perform well with 9.3% YTD February growth. Under the OTC portfolio, Honitus is a strong outperformer with a growth of 13.2%. With HPC, oral care recorded YTD February growth of 7% despite the continuous sharp slowdown in the oral care category. Our market shares in toothpaste category witnessed a growth of 30 basis points vis-a-vis last year. Hair oils reported a mid-single-digit growth on account of continued slowdown in the category. Brahmi Amla and Sarso Amla posted a robust double-digit YTD February growth. Our market shares in hair oils increased by 60 basis points. we continue to pursue our flanker brand strategy with investments behind our power brand Dabur Amla. Shampoo portfolio recorded a 7.9% YTD February growth and witnessed an uptick of 40 bps in market share to touch 5.6% on MAT basis. The bottle portfolio continues to see a strong surge, resulting in increase in salience of bottles. Home care and skin care categories reported a muted performance due to the high basis of last year. Foods witnessed a flat YTD February growth. This is mainly on account of a sharp slowdown in overall juice category and downtrading to cheaper alternatives by the consumers. That said, the first 2 months of 2020, we were witnessing an uptick in growth, which we believe would have carried on into the season had COVID not been there. Our market shares in JNN category saw an increase of 150 basis points for the year to touch 59.5%. Culinary business under homemade brand recorded 12% YTD Feb growth. Our Q4 financial year 20 consolidated revenue from operations reported a decline of 12.3%. India FMCG business saw a volume decline of 14.6%. These numbers for the first 2 months of the quarter, that is Jan-Feb, were trending at 4.5% growth for consolidated revenue and 4.6% for FMCG India volume growth. Our business remains on a strong footing and we are confident of achieving strong growth of pre-COVID times once things normalize. International business was flat during the Q20. Turkey business witnessed a growth of almost 50% for Q4. Sales in Egypt were up by 14%. Namaste business reported a growth of 11.3%. Sub-Sahara Africa also saw a growth of 17% during Q4. MENA business was growing well during the year but got impacted due to COVID and economic slowdown, reporting a decline of 7.7% during the quarter. SAARC business remained under pressure as Nepal and Bangladesh were impacted by complete lockdown. COVID-19 has a material impact on business. It has also changed the world around us, and we as Dabur are adapting ourselves to align with the new changing times. Our strategy to manage COVID scenario is based on six pillars of strategy around employee well-being, reorientation of marketing strategy, strengthening our GTM approach, streamlining manufacturing practices, cost and cash flow management, and last but not the least, community welfare. As we progress through the various phases of lockdown, we have ensured employee safety and productive work practices. Working from home was swiftly implemented from the 16th of March with comprehensive guidelines. As our factories and offices have reopened, we are observing strict implementation of social distancing and hygiene practices and encouraging work from home. On the second pillar of marketing strategy, we are repurposing our brand communications to highlight health benefits across relevant brands and portfolios. We have increased our digital presence and are engaging with consumers extensively on social media. With consumers' media preferences changing from general entertainment channels to news and movie channels, we have retooled our media mix accordingly. Similarly, we have reduced our exposure to print and outdoor media. We have stepped up innovation across our categories in Dabur. We have introduced Dabur Tulsi Drops, Immunity Booster, Dabur Haldi Drops, Dabur Amla Juice, Dabur Giloy, Neem Tulsi Juice, Trikutu Churan, Dabur Immunity Kit in healthcare. In household and personal hygiene space, we have launched a new brand called Dabur Sanitize, which carries under its umbrella a range of hand sanitizers, antiseptic liquid, disinfectant liquid, sprays, air sanitizers. Dabur Veggie Wash has also been introduced in view of consumer need for improved hygiene for vegetables and fruits. In addition, we have also launched Dabur Suraksha Kit, which contains a face shield, a reusable face mask, hand gloves, head cover, and a sanitizer. In food, we've launched Real Pink Guava, Real Masala Sugarcane, and a Tetra Pak version of Real Active Coconut Water. Going ahead, you will see the company broadening its portfolio with new product launches in larger and relevant categories. For the third pillar of GTM, we are utilizing technology as catalyst to automate order taking in a bigger way. We are committed to expanding our village coverage to 60,000 villages by the end of financial year 21 and our direct reach from 1.2 million to 1.5 million in 2 to 3 years' time. We are also focusing on e-commerce, which continues to gain salience in our business on account of strong growth. To ensure delivery of goods to our stockists, we partner with third parties like Delivery, Davis, and newspaper vendors. We also are reaching out to consumers directly through Dunzo and Swiggy, and also started Immunity at Doorstep, a direct consumer initiative for a healthcare brand. In manufacturing, all our factories had to be shut down in the last week of March 20 post-government notification of lockdown. Factory operations have restarted selectively from second week of April after getting approval from local authorities. Most factories are currently running at operational capacity of 60 to 70%. We are also adding capacities and 3Ps where there is a shortage of capacity in some categories. At all our factories, strict social distancing norms are being followed across the shop floor and cafeterias. We have initiated Project Samriddhi in India for cost optimization and value enhancement across various levers of business. The company is not facing any liquidity issues as the company has cash reserves of around 3,800 crores as of 31st March 2020. The board has approved the final dividend of 160% to our shareholders, indicating our strong cash and liquidity position. Under the sixth and the most important pillar of community welfare, Dabur has earmarked INR 21 crores towards the support and relief activities. We are also providing health and safety kits to frontline police personnel and health and sanitation workers, nutritious meals to families of migrant workers and urban poor. The month of April and a part of May 2020 saw complete lockdown, which led to significant impact on the sector. The recent report syndicated research also indicates a sharp fall in FMCG growth with a decline of 34% in the month of April. But with the easing of restrictions, we are seeing sequential improvement in the revenue trajectory of the company. For the company, we intend to mitigate the impact of the revenue from operations by higher focus on health and hygiene categories, new product launches, driving sales through new channels such as direct-to-consumer platforms and e-commerce, and aggressive monitoring of sales in GT channels. In spite of these measures, the impact of COVID-19 in Q1 financial year 21, revenue from operations is likely to be in the range of 400 to 450 crores and on PAT around 60 to 80 crores. Although the COVID situation continues to be worrying on account of the cases still increasing at a rapid pace, we believe that the earlier mentioned readjustments in strategy will help us emerge out of this pandemic stronger, more agile and a more capable organization. Our belief is centered around our passion for increasing market share and intent to broaden our portfolio potential across our categories. With this, I now open the Q&A and invite your questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, please press star, then 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star, then 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The first question is from the line of Avnish Roy from Edelweiss. Please go ahead. Yes, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Before the question, just one request. Just like Dabur every time has a good gap in terms of timing between the results and the call, same thing if you can do in the future also, because today I think hardly anyone has got the presentation and there was very little time to analyze the results also. So that's a request. Now coming to my first question, that's on the COVID impact. So when I see the Q4 revenue impact and Q1 revenue impact which you have given, it's not very different, but the past impact is in fact lower in Q1 in spite of revenue being higher in terms of impact. So could you explain that?
Right. I have these two questions you asked me. First thing, there should be a gap. Now we can't have a gap because all of us are in Delhi. And there are 3 states here, so there are lockdowns and there are police counters that we have to wind up by around 5 o'clock in the evening and 5:30 in the evening, so that's a hard stop for us. People all have to go and they have to navigate the police barricading, so it becomes an issue. So it's a part of the COVID impact that you guys are facing. That's one. Now on the second thing that you asked me, on the COVID impact, yeah, you're right. 360 crores was the last year impact, and now we are saying the impact of 450 crores. Not similar, it's again lower. We're trying to mitigate the impact as much as possible. On the profits, because in the previous financial year, COVID lockdown came as a surprise to us with Janata curfew and subsequently lockdown being imposed. So we did not get time to gear up our strategy, and it was a sudden lockdown, sudden shutdown of our supply chains and distribution channels, and that's why we lost some of the profit. We could not compensate it. Now we have enough time. We've already seen, and we are adapting and aligning ourselves to the new normal situation. And therefore, we are taking series of mitigation steps to mitigate the impact of the revenue on the profit. So we are doing cost cutting across the value chain in the company. As I spoke to in my commentary, we have tied up with a consultant, and across the value chain we are addressing all variable costs and also fixed costs systematically and trying to mitigate that impact.
So one follow-up on this, you said currently the operational capacity is 60-70%. Now, if I see in Q4, only 12 days impact was there, the balance 75 days or 78 days, the normal capacity utilization. So in April, if you see capacity utilization would have been even lower than the 60-70% currently mentioned. So when you say the Q1 impact will be only 400 crores, does this take into account some outsourcing which you are doing? Because then it doesn't carry up in terms of math.
See, in the end of March, there was a complete shutdown of all our 11 factories. So coming into April, after the April 15th, there was a gradual easing of lockdown and factories started opening up because even government wasn't clear what is essential and what is non-essential. So they allowed essential, which was food, and only food factories were allowed to operate, and all the Dabur factories, despite producing medicines and healthcare items, were completely shut down. So gradually, slowly, we have got permissions from district magistrates in respective districts wherever our factories are, and we have got complete permissions to operate. So as we speak, all our factories are operational at the moment. Now, while the factories are operational, we are maintaining safety protocols for the workers, and a lot of immigration workers have actually gone back to their own villages. So the contract workers that we have, they are around 60 to 70% at the time. We used to operate 3 shifts, now we are into 2 shifts. So limitation of workers is actually giving a constraint, and that's why 60 to 70% of working operation of the factory which I talked to.
And it will gradually improve going forward for the remaining people.
Yeah, as and when we recruit more workers and we are allowed interstate transportation of workers from one state to the other, this will only improve and become 100%.
In addition, yes, we have also tapped 3Ps, to your point. And in fact, some of the new products that we have launched are being manufactured by third parties.
My second and last question is on toothpaste. You said you have gained 30 basis market share over the year. The market leader, when it came out with its results, said that they have gained around 80 basis market share in March over February. So is monthly data the right way to look at? Second, have you lost market share in March over Feb? And because of COVID, do you see the herbal toothpaste makers gaining market share?
See, we don't look at niche data on a monthly level. To me, the right barometer for business performance is looking at either the moving annual total, which includes the 12 months of preceding performance, or looking at the quarter, because we diverge the quarter figures here. Quarter on quarter, we've actually grown in volume in terms of 40 bits, actually, not even 30 bits. We were the value number, in volume terms we've gained, and we've gained across our brands. So even Dabur, red tooth powder, red tooth paste, across the board. I can't comment on what the competitor has told, but we have definitely gained market share much ahead, and we are sequentially gaining market share month on month.
And sir, herbal, any impact on Ayurvedic? Not just toothpaste, if you could comment on the entire Ayurvedic food.
So see, there is a huge tailwind now, and which is what Dabur wants to capitalize and be a great beneficiary for this tailwind. And that's why you see spate of launches in the preventive healthcare area. You will see that that's why at this slowdown, when consumption is not very conducive to new product launches at the time, people are going in for staples and commodities and atta, dal, chawal. We guys are launching healthcare products because there is a pent-up demand here. There's a pent-up demand for ashwagandha, pent-up demand for giloy, pent-up demand for chavanpraj. Chavanpraj, as we speak, we have complete shortage of chavanpraj. We are not able to supply chavanpraj. Our market shares have gone up by 400 bits on Chyawanprash. Honey is surging at 80% growth from last year. So you will ask me, it's contradictory to what I said that the business has actually gone down and you're talking about growth. Now, government did not define Chyawanprash and honey as essential in the beginning. And it was all under lockdown. This is why the situation is what you guys see, because we came to a standstill because of supply chain. The demand would have been there, but STRs were completely dried up at the retail level. As and when the supply chain is opened up, we've been able to service the market, and now we see a surge in our healthcare items. So we'll be launching a lot of essential products for which the demand is there. And after Prime Minister's guidance on the products to be used for Ayurveda, Dabur has got a robust portfolio which actually caters to what we talk about. And as we speak, we are doing a clinical trial on Chyawanprash, Ashwagandha and Giloy, partnering with the government agencies. So if the clinical data comes in our favor, then this will be a very big upside for not just Dabur, but for Ayurveda as an alternative system of medicine in the country. And we are extremely bullish about it.
Okay, sir, that's all from me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Percy Panthaki from IIFL. Please go ahead. Hi, good afternoon, team. My first question is the products that you have in your portfolio, which can be positioned as immunity boosting products. What would be the sales contribution of that to your domestic sales?
See, total healthcare per se accounts for roughly around 30 to 35% of our sales, depending upon season to season. It can actually go up to around 40% also in the winter season. And apart, Chyawanprash, for example, which is the largest is the largest brand, which is the immunity booster. So most of our products are geared. I can't give you an exact percentage. We'll have to calculate what are the immunity boosting products. Yeah. I think 50% of our healthcare portfolio should be around immunity boosting.
Directly or indirectly?
Indirectly or directly.
Okay, so around 15 to 20% of domestic sales.
Right, correct.
Okay. So second question was on the normal FMCG products. While I can understand there is a logic to say why in this kind of an environment people will sort of increase consumption of anything linked to immunity, but your normal FMCG portfolio, I mean, how do we look at that? Because there is clearly income impact which is likely to come in FY21 and also possibly in FY22. Most strategic economists are actually building in a sharp GDP contraction this year, and on that low base also no significant acceleration in FY22. So what will you do in this kind of a scenario to sort of pitch for a higher share of wallet from the consumer so that your sales is not as badly affected?
Right. So there are a couple of points to it, Percy. First is, you're absolutely right. The GDP growth are down, per capita incomes will go down, and the disposable income of the consumer to be spent on FMCG wallet will actually reduce. That said, we've got a very good rural franchise, and we've got a whole portfolio of low unit price points or accessible price points for rural consumer. That's why if you see last year, I think for last 2 years, we've been building our LUP portfolio. Earlier, before that, we used to have an embargo on how much to produce, but we've actually opened floodgates on accessible price points. When I mean accessible price point, 10 rupee, 5 rupee price points in all our portfolio. So let's look at dissect our FMCG portfolio. The first in the FMCG was hair care. In hair care, we have a 10 rupee hair oils everywhere. In shampoo, we've got a 1 rupee sachet already there in the shampoo category. In oral care, we've got a 10 rupee price point both in Dabur, Miswak and RTP toothpaste. If you look at the home care also we've got PDCB blocks, which are 20 rupee price points today. Odonil aerosols is a little expensive, but I think we are looking at re-gearing it with the launch of air sanitizers. Skincare also is pretty affordable. Healthcare is expensive, but immunity is what is required today. And I don't think there is a need to recalibrate that portfolio to accessible price point, because the equity of healthcare for Dabur in rural is very high, and we feel that rural will only surge in the times to come. As far as the third pillar, foods, is concerned, which is 20% of our business, We've already introduced coolers as a brand, which is 10 rupee price point. And as we speak, we already introduced PET bottles at a 20 rupee price point. We've gone to the drinks market. We've introduced out-of-home PET bottles also. So there also we become reasonably affordable. And going forward, instead of 100 rupee for a Tetra pack, we are rolling out 35 rupee price, 39 rupee price point and a 65 rupee price point. So I think the entire portfolio is extremely affordable and can be bought even if the consumer downtrades or there is a pressure on the wallet.
Right, sir. And last question, if I may, your thoughts, you did mention that you are looking at costs very, very sharply and trying to reduce across the board. But if you could give some more details, some more examples on what you are doing there.
Right. So first of all, I think all the cost levers in the company are being looked at fine tooth comb. So first of all is raw material. We are looking at raw material. If there are single vendor raw material, we're looking at multiple vendor raw material. We are trying to do reverse options there, reduce the cost of the raw material. If the product is over-engineered, we are saying either we make marketing claims and we get the value from the consumer, or we rightly engineer the product as far as the raw material is concerned, whether they are perfumes, fragrances, etc. So over-engineering is to be avoided. Packaging material is being looked at, whether it is the weight of the bottles, uniformity of packaging across our portfolio. At the moment, we have different bottles and different molds for different. So we are looking at uniformity of our portfolio in the packaging material. What material are we using? What is the weight of the material? Is it multicolored, single color, etc. Then we are looking at the freight cost. Freight cost also, we have a single vendor looking at reverse auctions to be done on freight. So multiple things like this. Also corporate overheads, also organization structure we're looking at. De-layering the organization at the moment. With work from home, there is a stark realization that we can make do with 80% of the manpower that we at the moment have. So we will look at the cost from a manpower standpoint, and all other indirect R&D costs are also being looked at, so and so forth. I can go on. Travel and variable costs. Yeah.
Right, sir. That's all from me. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you, Percy.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Soman from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening and thanks for your time. So firstly, just going back to the first question on the loss in this quarter, is this largely a function of... Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was not sure if you could hear me.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So is this largely a function of just pre-sales being lost for the summer season, or is there anything more? Because like the first question I was, the number is absolutely very large, given that we had only 9 days of lockdown, 8 or 9 days of lockdown in March, and in April, at least you mentioned that at least for the first 2 weeks your factories were not functional, and even then the ramp-up was gradual only to 60-70%.
Yeah, so I think essentially the loss is because of the pre-season loading also. There's no other reason that we've lost. And also another reason is that while we've cut a lot on advertising or whatever we could do, we could not cut on consumer promotions and trade promotions we went. So if you look at the total spend on A&P that we've done, it's around 16%. While the business has declined by 12.5%, we've done an A&P spend of around 15-16%, and we could not cut back because that was hardwired, and this came as a surprise to us. And also, all the costs below the line were also incurred. So that is the reason why there is a sharp fall. And going forward also, we have time now to recalibrate and to cut costs, etc. While we are not cutting any salaries anywhere, we are not even cutting manpower anywhere. We are completely committed to our own people. So we are not retrenching or doing anything. Despite that, we feel that our loss in the current quarter will be curtailed to at best 60 to 80 crores.
I mean, lots of profit.
Lots of profit.
We're not in the loss, as you know. We are
No, thanks, I understand. No, my question was actually more on the revenue, where it indicates that 350 crore revenue loss for 8 or 9 days in 4Q, compared with the 450 crore say loss in 1Q, where obviously revenues have been lost over a 2-month period.
So right. So like I told you, the government wasn't very sure what is essential and what is non-essential. So past we approaching the government and lobbying with the district magistrates in different districts, we've been able to get a lot of passes to operate in the marketplace. And our guys have been going into the market, getting orders and actually servicing orders. And healthcare has been now classified as a part of essential, which can operate even in red zones, green zones or orange zone, even if it's a lockdown period. So that realization came to the government very late, and that's when we got permissions to operate, and that's when we could do secondary. If you see in the month of March, we actually lost secondaries also. So there was no secondary, there was no primary, there was no billing, nothing. So it's not that we would have diluted, we would have, reduced our inventories which were piled up. We could not reduce our inventories, and inventories at the stockist level were also piled up. SCRs got reduced from the chemist outlets and the retailers which were working and functioning. So we, over a period of past 1.5 months, have really been working very hard to get the permissions to operate through the nodal officers, and therefore I think the revenue downside in India will not be as much as it was there in the quarter 4. But that said, our international business, which had a little stagnant sales in the last quarter, is actually going through very volatile times, and because of multiple countries, MENA is seeing a lot of headwinds. Post-East, we hear that there could be some lockdowns. So revenue pressures will come. So as we speak in India business, we are chugging at around 80% of the levels of what the regular business last year would be. So we are at currently.
April was down, but now
So we are at the moment around 80-90% of the levels of last year.
Oh, fair enough, very clear. And just in terms of what you expect going forward, I mean, are you seeing any sort of clear differences in momentum in urban versus rural, at least for your product and what you're seeing on the ground, and are there any regional differences?
Yeah, so obviously West is impacted the most for us in terms of regional differences, and North is doing reasonably well. So is East doing well, except for the cyclone, which is just hit in Orissa and West Bengal have got impacted. But for that, before that, we were doing reasonably well. South is actually doing exceedingly well for us, but the West is impacted quite a bit. So that's as far as the regional view is concerned. On urban and rural, as you know, our reliance on rural is high, and we are seeing traction coming from our sub-stockist network of around 12,000 sub-stockists that they are spread across the country, and this is where we are getting a lot of traction. Urban, we feel there will be a slowdown, and urban and especially metros and mini metros and 300 odd cities will be impacted more than the villages. So rural will surge ahead of urban in my view. As far as syndicated data today also, urban is ahead of rural. But in my view, in next 1 quarter, I think rural will be moving ahead, especially with immigrant population moving back and the government stimulus being announced in the rural areas, MSP is going up, absolute Manrega outlay going up from 185 to 210. All these go in the favor of rural demand and consumption picking up. While it will be more for staples, but even for portfolio like ours, toothpaste, etc., the impact should definitely be there.
No, fair enough. Thanks a lot for the color.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sajjan Patul, an investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. So, Mohit, the question around our healthcare division. Globally, I see there is an increased thrust on the future-ready functional foods for babies, adults, seniors, and everyone. And that's a major focus area for most of the FMCG food companies. But the problem for a company like Dabur, which is globally diversified, could be that the local regulations, the labeling requirements, and the claims that you could make in a certain jurisdiction, they vary. And that could be a challenging aspect as far as the economies of scale is concerned. So that's one part. And the second part is, do you work on a certain percentage of research and development, and is there a disproportionate allocation of capital towards building a robust pipeline of functional foods for the likely growth that can unfold in the coming years? Thank you.
Right. So I think, Sajal, you're rightly saying functional food is seeing a spurt. Dabur as such doesn't have a portfolio of baby targeted functional foods. We have functional foods, and Chyawanprash is definitely a part of that functional food and a health supplement, what we call it. But we don't have a huge portfolio around it, especially in the babies. As far as the regulation is concerned, I think India regulation is very favorable to entry of functional foods because of Ministry of Ayush being there. So we can classify as a Ayurvedic medicine and we can actually launch functional foods here. But that said, company has not got a portfolio for functional foods, and we have a lot to do even in terms of preventive healthcare that we've not ventured into it. As far as our investment into R&D is concerned, we've got 100 scientists in R&D who are BAMS, who are doctors qualified in Ayurveda. So we've got a huge team which services us in marketing. So, and the total amount of investment that in FMCG is not very large because we guys don't do too much of research. We do more development is the work that we do, and we don't invent molecules unlike a pharma, etc. We don't patent that. So it's more text formulations that we have to develop and we have to roll out. So therefore, there's no need of very high outlays for the R&D expenditure. That said, we should be doing around 0.3-0.4% of our turnover should be deployed in R&D annually.
Yeah, and in terms of the... Yes, sorry.
I'm correct, it's around 0.5%, yeah. Okay.
Sure. And what in terms of the local regulation, because if the Indian regulator may approve something but UK may not, and similarly for other jurisdictions where you operate, so there's a lot of business coming from Turkey, Egypt, Africa, etc. So how do you normally mitigate that sort of challenge? Or is it that you're just focusing on the functional foods for just the India business? Because I see a lot of your products, so I'm from UK, I see a lot of food related, even Chyawanprash is here in the UK and it's kind of widely available.
Yeah, so we don't make any claims when we sell to UK. UK, there is the regulation of NCA that we have to go through when we have to export in UK as a functional food or a medicine. So we export it as a health supplement. So when you export it as a health supplement, you are not allowed to make any claims on the products, and big claims like medicines too, in which case you have to go through NCA, and for NCA you require clinical data, which we don't have the wherewithal to do it. So that's why you see majority of our portfolio and the majority revenue of our portfolio coming in international business of personal care and not so much healthcare. Because even if we introduce healthcare, we are able to export it, but we export it like a health supplement. We cannot say that Chyawanprash will improve your immunity so we can't get into the detailing of claims the way we are able to make it in India, in overseas markets.
Understood. And second question I have is on the return on capital employed and ROE. So over a decade ago, I think we were cruising at a pretty healthy rate of around about 50% on the ROC. Now, I appreciate in the recent years we have had some major capital investments, both brownfield and greenfield, so the new factory being built in Assam and elsewhere as well. And as a result, our ROC has been gradually declining from around about 50% to high 20s now. And again, this year could be a blip because of COVID, so I'm going to discount that. But what's the likely trajectory, and is there any internal target that you have for the ROC going forward? And let's take a 3 to 5 year view here.
Yeah, I would like Lalit to take this.
Sure. I think when we look at our ROC, it has a lot to do with regard to the capital expenditure. And when we look at the categories, our food category requires a heavy capital investment as against the other non-food category of it. So therefore, there is a difference between two categories. Having said that, we also have 3,800 crores of cash available. So that also has an impact of diluting the ROC. So if you exclude that, then obviously our return on capital employed is much higher than what you see in the balance sheet.
It is higher than 45 in that.
And progressively it's actually gone up. It's not got diluted. So because of the cash going up, you see the figure actually coming down.
And do you have any sort of capital allocation plans for that cash? Because that has got a bearing on return ratio. So how do you want to, or what do you plan to sort of judiciously deploy that cash to make even better returns going forward?
Yeah, so we've kept this cash as a war chest for a lot of acquisitions, but unfortunately the valuations have been very high. But hopefully COVID will bring a silver lining and we'll have valuations becoming muted, and therefore we'll be able to deploy this cash better if we get some good targets on the table.
And also, I hope as well. Yes, sorry.
Expansion.
Yes, no, I appreciate that, and wish you all the best. Hopefully, we'll find some target acquisition in this post-COVID era, and I will now fall back into queue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prakash Kapadia from Manila Portfolio Manager. Please go ahead.
Yeah, 2 or 3 questions. Hope all are safe at Dabur. One is the billion rupee treasury hit we've taken. Is all provisioning been done, or there is more to come in FY21?
So as far as the provision is concerned, that is on account of investments in DHFL and Reliance Home Finance, which we have taken full 100 crores investment as a provision for the last year. So therefore, there is no further provision is required as of now.
Okay. And Mohit, if you could give us some sense, because we've been reading about retailers facing liquidity issues and distributors wanting to sell on cash. Have we observed that trend specifically in rural markets, this kind of tier 2, tier 3 cities? Any sense on distribution and normalcy coming there?
So at least we've not come across instances where distributors are selling on cash. At least I have not come to know. But in the COVID situation, I think we have to re-gear and retool ourselves, and the distribution strategy also requires a complete revamp as we speak. So what we guys did in GTM, and I think when the time gets up, you kind of invent new ways of doing things. So what we've done is we've created a retailer app, and the distributors have actually given a retailer app to a lot of retailers, and the retailers are now ordering on the app, and so they are giving the orders, because there's no way a salesman wasn't available for a salesman to go and book the orders. So we had a retailer app created, they downloaded the app, and the orders were coming on either on app or on WhatsApp, and we've been servicing, and we've connected around 40,000 retailers on this app, and that's facilitated order taking. Now, delivery is something that, again, we've tied up with partners and we are ensuring delivery. And we're also doing a direct-to-consumers by partnering with Swiggy and Dunzo, and I talked about immunity at doorstep, and even Dabur website is now geared to become an e-commerce sort of a site wherein we are inviting people and giving free samples. It will be it's not with a commercial intent that we've launched it, to gather the first party data of the consumer that we've actually done the same. But we guys are completely committed to our old earlier GTM strategy, which is like going directly to the retail, and that's why we have said that now we go up from 1.2 million outlets to 1.5 million outlets in 2 to 3 years of time. We are committed to increasing our rural reach, which is going up to 60,000 villages. We already reached 52,700 odd villages, and we had a target of 55. We could not do 55, but we'll next year again look at 60,000 villages, and that's doing well. Then we are partnering with alternative channels. I think that's assuming importance, especially after the COVID scenario. That assumes more importance. Hitherto, we were very reluctant to supply to alternative channels like Udan and Jumbo Tail, etc. But now the new scenario, these were the guys who actually took the torch from the distributor and actually went to the retailer when the regular distributor was not able to fly his vehicles. They were the ones who could supply us manpower. So therefore we are partnering. Good that we are partnering with them, and we could hedge our risks along with them. Then e-commerce assumes a huge importance. E-commerce contribution was 1.3, now it's 3.1. We are launching OF4. Now, to me, modern trade will assume importance, and open format outlets over a period of time will also assume big importance, because they are the ones who re-geared themselves to deliver to the consumer in a society at the doorstep. A lot of them have done it. So So therefore, we are going forward launching a complete visibility program of key outlets, which will actually be delivering. And also, we are committed to be increasing our chemist outlets. The total number of chemist outlets is around 5 lakh outlets in the country, and we are going to around 2.270 lakhs, but we want to go up to around 60% of those levels. So that strategy we have to make, and we'll reach up to that. So that's our GTM in a nutshell, what we are proposing to do.
Sure, and I think that chemist channel will become increasingly relevant in the NPD which you mentioned of, the healthcare portfolio, because that would contribute to a large percentage, I would guess.
Absolutely. And in Dabur, we have two divisions. One is the Ayurvedic division and one is the consumer care division. And both have a chemist outlet overlaps with each other. So we are trying to cross-pollinate products between two divisions also to ensure synergy and to ensure that the classical portfolio also goes to the regular chemist who's not Ayurvedic. But now, with this tailwind of Ayurveda, they are more wanting to stock the Ayurvedic products because the demand from the consumer is surging.
And lastly, GST would be, I think, around 12% for most of our portfolio. Any talks or any possibilities, given that post-COVID era, some of our products are not necessarily, discretionary or luxury in that sense, are more on the health platform. Any possibility of reduction or talks with the government? Will that be a
we've done a lot of, we're trying to do a lot of lobbying with the government because the classical portfolio tracks a 5% GST as compared to our OTC and other portfolios, Ayurvedic in nature tracks around 12%. So we are trying to see if that entire Ayurvedic portfolio can be under 5%. So we've made several representations to CII to see that if we can, get that in the 5% band. Because in allopathic, if you see, everything is a uniform in all the medicines, whether they're generic or they're branded or they're ethical, non-ethical, they fall into the same band. But in Ayurveda, there are different slabs which are operating at the moment. So we've taken it up with the government and let's see. But I think it's an industry-wide phenomenon, so that we have to take it to the government. Yeah.
Thanks, President. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shri Sadhishi from Central. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Mohit and team. Thanks for the opportunity. Two broad questions. If I refer the GTM strategy, what you have mentioned, I think the sense what we are getting is that this is going to be much more bigger complexity. Because if I understand, if the chemist outlet and the general trade, which comes as essential, these are open. But there are a large set of outlets which are not open. And this lockdown will open, again it will get closed. So is there any different way of delivery to the mass segment which will emerge, or is there any pre-thoughts how the distribution will emerge in next 1 year?
Okay, I think one very big game changer as we speak is going to be, one big game changer that we see is Reliance Jio coming up. I think Reliance was test marketing or test piloting their thing in Bombay, in Maharashtra. But as we speak, there's a report, I think around 2 days back, that they've extended the test pilot to around 200 or 300 cities in India. So that, I think, will be a game changer. Dabur is already partnering with them to see that how we can reach them directly. So they would be, again, this is an attempt to reach directly to the retail through Reliance and not through the intermediaries. That's one. And Swiggy and Zomato is another pilot that those companies have done. So we've latched on to their menus, and in their menus, along with the food, there are Dabur products also listed. So consumer can go on the website, can order them, and they take the delivery from the distributor and deliver it to the last mile. That is also direct to consumer. The third attempt is through our website is what we are trying to do with direct to consumer, which I just explained.
And e-commerce.
And e-commerce, of course, is picking up. Like our e-commerce business is growing by 100% plus.
Okay. My second and last question is on the category what you have mentioned. Consumer care division has declined 17% and foods has declined 21%. Foods, I can understand there are challenges with the competition and other things. But when you mentioned that 300 all cities, which has essentially shown the decline, do you think all these 300 is still under COVID impact, or in Q1 of FY21 there is a partial lockdown which is lifted?
So the lockdown is actually lifted partially, since selectively. It has lifted. So, and that's why we lost around 360 in the last quarter, and now we are saying that we'll be around 400 to 450 odd. But it's lifted, and we are in a better position to supply and service now.
Okay. Thank you.
If I answered your question, if there's something else in your question which I didn't understand.
No, what I was saying that this 300 cities which you mentioned is under lockdown. So what I wanted to understand, is this largely impact on your Q1 sales?
No, I didn't say 300 cities were under lockdown. I talked about Reliance Jio extending their test pilot from Maharashtra to around 300 cities now. Okay. Jio Mart, that's what I mentioned.
Because last quarter, when, if you recollect, I was saying that at least in urban centers, the wholesale impact which has been partially covered by the cash and carry, and I understand through our international interactions with the cash and carry guys, they have done really better. But there is such cash and carry doesn't exist in rural, say less than 1 lakh population. So the issue is that how fast we will recover in rural going back to your distribution system. That was the question.
We guys are not dependent on wholesale at all as far as the rural is concerned. While wholesale is more in urban areas and which are actually feeder towns to rural. But Dabur has got a network of more than 12,000 sub-stockists. And we supply to sub-stockists, and sub-stockist is the one who's connected to around 4 to 5 villages in turn, and he supplies. So we have a direct reach, and it's not going through wholesale that is going to impact our business if there is a lockdown and a wholesaler is in a red zone and he shuts down and we're not able to supply. No, we bypass the wholesaler, we go through a sub-stockist network.
Okay. Just last quick on the revenue loss what we have. Is this majorly done in the urban centers and it's a pre-sales or primary sales, or because there is no demand due to secondary also, or maybe it could be higher inventory at the trade level?
No, it is, as I told you, there was a complete supply chain shutdown, and this loss is happening because of supply chain. So there was a primary loss which we could not bill, and the revenue loss that you see is on account of primary billing which could not happen to the trade, which is the stockist. And the trade inventories remained the way they were because there was no liquidation of the trade inventory because the stockist could not do the secondary sales to the retailer as well. So there was a complete standstill for around 15-20 days.
Okay, got it. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Maheshwari from Ambit Management. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I hope all are well at your end. So, two questions. First, in such stress times, as earlier highlighted that the company would be focusing on 8 power brands, where majority of investments would be done, and then you would be scaling your brand. After such a COVID stress, do you think any change in your strategy towards your deployment of capital allocation or any other segment of which was left alone, but now you find that going forward it can be a big area and the maximum capital allocation can take place in that? And third, as generally whenever the good times are there and we forget into a volume mix and price growth, so at such stress times, can you give some colors, not often on numerical terms, but how much is due to downgrading, supply disruption, mix, and slowdown of the economy, which we started witnessing in January month? These two are the basic questions.
So So Rahul, I think the first question on power brand. So as far as the power brand strategy is concerned, I think we will stay the course on the power brand strategy. I don't think we'll be deviating from the power brand strategy. I think that's working very well and that's helping us consolidate our investments between limited age power brands. Now these power brands transcend across a lot of categories for us and they can be extended to a number of categories because they have a core and if the core can be extended beyond the core category where it is present in, we extend it. Now that said, if there is a category that we see has got an opportunity to your second question, we will be launching a new brand under the umbrella brand of Dabur because Dabur brings a lot of trust and confidence to the consumer. Like we've seen, hygiene products, whether it's a personal hygiene or home hygiene, have gained a lot of salience and traction and there's a lot of demand and it is a requirement of the day. Because of that, we have introduced a brand called Dabur Sanitize. The name itself says Sanitize. We have introduced sanitizers under that brand and they are doing reasonably well. Under the same brand, we'll be introducing air sanitizers. We'll be introducing disinfectants, all-purpose cleaners. So this category has assumed importance and that is what we'll be wanting to get into. And there's a baby wash also which is all being planned under this category. Why this is another brand which is coming because we don't think a brand called Odonil or Odomore or Odopic in home care could carry this portfolio. That's why creation of a new brand beyond a power brand to capitalize on this opportunity. On the down trading piece, there's economic downturn and there will be down trading which will be happening and that will be more in urban also and in rural also. Rural contributes to roughly around 45% of our business and urban also. I can't give you exact number as to how much will be the LUP as a percentage contribution, but generally it will be in the range of around 15 to 18% will be our LUP percentage to business, which will be impacted by the down trading. Now, if you look at urban areas, we see a lot of traction of bulk packs also and large packs because while consumers are stocking up, they are doing pantry stocking up is happening as we speak in urban areas. So we are looking at for institutions bulk packs and also for GT large packs, which will gain salience also in the newer times. So the consumer behavior is changing and we have to be very agile and adaptive to the changing behavior of the consumer.
So just to ask, in next 3 to 5 years, if you take a longer horizon, what kind of innovation pipeline do you carry? I know it's, but in terms of numerical, can you give guidance that as compared to the previous years, what kind of run rate that would be taking place in terms? Because it's extremely good to hear the kind of launches which have taken place in the current quarter. So any long-term basis guidelines on the innovations and launches?
See, innovation is going to be our, cornerstone of strategy, if you say. It's a cornerstone. So we can't thrive without innovation. And we had not stepped up on the pedal on innovation because we were a little risk-averse. So now we've become fearlessly risk-taking. I think it's completely bipolar from what we used to be earlier. That said, in terms of numbers, we were around 1.2 to 1.5% NPD to overall turnover ratio till last year. That has inched up from 1.5 to 3.3% or 3.1% is the ratio. And going forward, it will only increase from here. So we feel 3% or 3 or 4% of our turnover should come from innovation, if not more. So we are not putting pressure on how much of turnover we get from innovation, but we should be seen as a company which is innovating. And as far as pipeline is concerned, we've got a very robust pipeline because we've got this Ayurvedic business with us, so which feeds into the OTC and FMHG healthcare business. And that's the entire funnel or the treasury for our NPDs for healthcare is concerned. And I told you we've got 100 scientists who are working with us across personal care, healthcare and foods. And so we've got a very robust pipeline for foods and also for HPC space.
And healthcare.
And healthcare, of course.
Thank you, sir. After a long time, the Dabur commentary from changing from risk averse to risk taking in terms of innovation is a good point, sir. Thank you so much. All the best.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Devans Jain from Devans Traders and Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. Just wanted to check with you. Somewhere in the call, you mentioned that your food segment has witnessed a flattish kind of a growth trajectory for the year. Even if you were to see a YTD step kind of a sales number. So why do you think we were not able to grow significantly in this year is one question. And also, since you have launched quite a number of juice variants this year, my only submission to this is shouldn't the current search of the company be on strengthening the core rather than widening the overall portfolio when the response may not be representative of the normal consumer demand because of the consuming prices that we are in today.
Yeah, right. Okay, Devansh, yeah. So first of all, I think why foods is not taking off, I think this is a category issue of food. As you know, we operate in the category called JNN. It's called juices and nectars. And juices and nectars as a category is going down by around 7.6% is a decline that we see in the category. So we guys are market leaders. As we speak, we've gained 150 basis points market share. When it comes to quarterly max figures, we are around 327 pips market share is what we have gained in real. So that's a good sign. So we are gaining strength in the market. Be Natural and Tropicana and other players are losing out, and we are the ones who are gaining. We're consolidating our share to your point. Category not doing well because it's an expensive category. The juices are sold at 100 rupees for a liter. As compared to another hand, we operate this JN category is 1,600 crores. If you compare it with the drinks category, which is around 7,500 crores, and in 7,500 crores, we didn't have any representation because we didn't want, and that's more salient with a mango drink, where Maaza and Fruity are the big boys. So Dabur from 100 rupee price point and 100 rupee price point and 20 rupee price point, which is for 200 ml, we moved to a 10 rupee price point with the real coolers, and we started operating in the 7,500 crore category of drinks. And drink category is growing. So that's one action that we guys took on entering into drinks category. On back of that initiative, the first 3 quarters, we saw the declining lesser than the category decline of around 7-6%. Coming quarter 4 in the month of January and February, our business went up by 10%. And there was a surge in our brand on back of the coolers that we launched, and it made it inroads into rural, etc. And that's why we saw growth of 10%. Coming March, when we had to do the loading of this, COVID came our way. So therefore, we could do not much with that. As far as now the second question that you told me, consolidation, and why doing so much of innovation in juices. Juice as a category, consumer wants variety and variation. So the new flavors for taste are to be continuously introduced. It's a weed and feed strategy. You keep weeding out variants that are non-performing, and you keep introducing variants which are performing. So that's the nature of the beast of this category. People want flavor. We, for the first time, have introduced sugarcane juice in a Tetra pack. Sugarcane is only available in a season. It's not available all season. So we, with our R&D, have done our R&D work where sugarcane is stable now. Now you can go and have a sugarcane juice. We introduced health juices there. So it is to make the category top of mind, and this category sells usually through modern trade. And in modern trade, what you see is what you believe. There's a moment of truth between the customer and the product. If you see a new variant, then you pick it up. And if some other competitor has a new variant, then you pick up that because you want a variety, the taste, and an impulse purchase and a discretionary category. And because of discretionary, we saw a real downturn as far as juices is concerned. The third initiative that we are launching to stem the decline or to stem the stagnation of juices and to move it into the recovery path is we are launching a PET bottle now. PET bottle will spur our out-of-home consumption. So earlier it used to be only available in 200 ml small called Tetra Pack, which is like a kids pack, and adults would be reluctant to carry it. But with the PET packaging, I think it only facilitates out-of-home consumption for us.
Thank you so much, sir. And just one more question, if you could allow me. So, are you seeing any sort of a revival in the April and May months now that we have kind of relaxed our lockdown, etc., and the demand is kind of, are you seeing any green shoots as far as your numbers are concerned, as far as April and May is there?
Yeah, I said not in the month of April, but May definitely. May we are operating at around 80-90% of the levels of last year in the month of May. And there's a huge recovery, not marginal, but huge recovery as of now.
Right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bala Subramanian from Sabi. Go ahead.
Sir, the question is that how is your metro performance compared to the last quarter? Because I understand Mumbai, Delhi are affected. How was the performance affected, and how are we able to perform better? How are we able to perform during the current quarter?
So metro performance is subdued, Mala, in metros. So I think it's smaller cities and rural areas where we are able to do good business. Metro, we are struggling still, and we get passes to operate also for a limited period. Then again, there is a lockdown. We have to go for renewal of work passes also. So metro is a challenge, and the competitive intensity is also very high in metros. But for us, rural areas and semi-urban and small towns and cities are doing better than the metros.
Yeah, I agree. The supplementary question is that since you mentioned that you have started doing a good performance in May, have you been able to catch up with your in metro, or still the metro sales are still lagging behind?
No, there's an improvement in metro also. We are able to operate, we are able to solicit orders, we are able to service also in the metros. We've been classified under the essential category now, and we are able to do business. So that the answer of around 70-80% levels of business that applies to metro also. But relatively, our rural and semi-urban is doing better.
Okay, so last supplementary question is, how is your, I believe this Q1 cannot be a great quarter, but Q2, do you think that things will improve and you will be able to get back to normalcy?
I don't know, Bala. I think the situation is very volatile at the moment. It is anybody's guess, and I can't hazard a guess. Had COVID cases been going down drastically and sharply, I could have commented with conviction. But as of now, as the cases are rising, nobody knows. While we know that lockdown 4 may not be extended, but with the opening of the economy, I don't know what implication will it have to the disease spread. And if it becomes a contagion and it becomes a then again there could be a lockdown, in which case the business would be under a calm once again. So one can't say with surety and conviction as to what the situation. The estimation of 450 crores on revenue we've given as of now, as we see the situation in real time. We can't predict what's going to happen because the situation is too much in flux.
Okay, I appreciate your work. You are doing a great job. Thank you. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Bala. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Go ahead.
Hello. Hi, Mohit. Thanks for the opportunity. Couple of questions. Wanted to know your thoughts on rural reverse migration. Now, this obviously has an impact on the remittance economy, which in turn impacts the hinterland. And so, given the reduced purchasing power, most of the tier 3 cities and villages, do you think that there is a case for a possible revisit on strategy, which you elaborated earlier, wherein you're focusing more on rural growth revival? I know the situation is evolving, but your early thoughts on that? Yeah.
I didn't quite understand your question. If your question is on, I didn't quite understand. If you could repeat your question.
Maybe slowly, if you could speak.
Yeah. So basically, my concern is with respect to the labor migration which is moving from urban to rural centers, and this obviously has an impact on the remittance economy. I mean, the kind of remittance they have been sending from urban to rural centers, and that was of course one of the drivers for rural consumption. And since that so there's a break in that kind of a cash flow in time to come, and obviously this will have an impact on the consumption for tier 3 cities and villages. So my question was that would the urban centers will probably those strategies for the urban center will get more preference than the rural in time to come. I mean, how do you read the situation that?
Right, okay, I think it's a good question, Yavis. Thanks for jogging my mind. I always thought that now my view personally is that because of around more than 4 crore migrant labor have actually moved back to the villages, that's the statistics say, and 4 crore is a very big number, and if the population increases, obviously the demand surge happens, irrespective, and the government has also announced a lot of stimulus packages in Manrega. There is a 40,000 additional outlay which promises them employment, and this doesn't have a gate to it. So as and when people keep enrolling, the Manrega outlay will keep increasing. So, and absolute levels 180, it's also gone up by 10 percentage points, as you're aware. So to me, but this is more sustenance sort of employment that they have. This can't match up with the remittance economy. So with the number of people going up in rural, my view is demand surge will happen definitely in rural, because this urban behavior of the people who were there has gone back to rural, and definitely that will have some sort of a consumer change, and they are more evolved. So they will buy products. They will not indulge. They will not buy a tooth powder. They will definitely buy a toothpaste. And if they buy a toothpaste, they will buy a 10 rupee toothpaste. If they will not buy a soap for the hair. They will definitely buy a shampoo. If they buy a shampoo, they'll be buying a more affordable shampoo, which is a 1 rupee shampoo. So I don't think that urban as a market would be hit more by job losses. It will be hit by salary cuts. It will be hit by population shrinkage. It will be hit by social distancing norms being put in place. Every retail outlet or modern trade that even you have to queue up, one person allowed at one point in time. So urban will have more problems. In rural, social distancing exists in any case. And to me, the epidemic will not be as big in rural as much as in urban, despite now migrants taking back this disease into rural. So I don't know how it will pan out to be. It's actually a thesis. And you have a thesis and I have a thesis. I don't know what to do. As far as Dabur is concerned, we guys are a rural skewed company, and we find stimulus from the government getting into rural. We are equities into rural. Ayurveda as an alternative system of medicine is very strong in the rural. So we feel very positive about it, that Ayurveda is gaining salience in urban also now and in rural also now. So I think we are okay. But if you ask me, am I retooling my strategy to move from rural to urban? Answer is no. In any case, I was going urban with some brands, and I am in rural. So if a brand is there, I'm trying to connect to the millennials. That was the strategy earlier. That is my strategy now also. I want to modernize, contemporize, appeal to the millennials as far as my larger packs are concerned. But the accessible, low unit price points are geared towards the rural. That will go on as it is to ride on the rural infrastructure that we put in place. So the real brand is going to appeal both to urban also and to rural also. To rural with a 10 rupee price point, to urban with a PET bottle and a mixed berry juice, or with a iced tea or whatever that we do. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. And thanks for your perspective. And in fact, your way of looking at the shifting consumer class, which is more evolved, more exposed to urban, and not shifting to rural, probably will have a different way of looking at the product. So my second question was on the juices category. Do you see any early signs for the category per se that the current phase is helping some kind of revival for the category as such? because now there's a higher emphasis on health and nutrition and high demand for packaged and hygienic food items. Right?
Right. So if you compare it relatively from the past to now, I think it will be better because carbonated soft drinks will become a complete no-no. And people will switch from carbonated soft drinks to juices, and juice penetration being at around 4% will definitely go up from there. So there's a huge potential and opportunity in juice today. But that said, people will downgrade also because the income will go down. So to my mind, the drinks category and the 10 rupee price point, 20 rupee price point, low price juice drink category will do well in the country going forward and taking business from carbonated.
And so you mentioned about the consolidation as far as your market share in the juices category is concerned, that has been on the uptrend. Do you see that this category could be also a case wherein you could also look for inorganic opportunities?
We are not looking at any inorganic opportunity in juices. I think that was your question. So I think we have enough potential in Real as umbrella brand and enough opportunities there. And because it's also a little margin dilutive business to our overall portfolio. So one is not looking at any. If at all we do inorganic, it will be either in the healthcare space or in the personal care space for us. So that's there. And consolidation of market share, yes, we are continuously making efforts into innovations and variants in Real. And we've already entered the value-added milk category in Real also. I think that I did not mention in my commentary. So we've introduced milkshakes under Real brand also. A 200 ml pack size of milkshake is also what we have introduced.
Yeah, it's just going into the market. That's why we've not yet mentioned it in our study.
I think so. You just read my mind. I was going to ask you this particular category only, the milk-based beverage category. And so, I mean, how are you looking at the opportunity in this space? I mean, would you be attempting a backward integration in this space, or would you be sourcing it and then going for value-added production?
No, at the moment we are actually evaluating it. We are outsourcing the product and we are not proposing to get into back-end integration. So we are into, as I told you, we are into value-added milk space. We will not get into pure milk. It will only be value-added. For value-added, we will be doing more third-party and not back-end integration here. It's too premature for us to get into back-end integration at the moment. We are just testing waters with it at the moment. Yeah.
No, that's wonderful. Thanks for your thoughts, sir. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harit Dabur from Investec. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Just two questions. Firstly, if you could give us a better picture of what's happening in the international markets right now. You did mention briefly, but across the four markets, especially we've seen what happened in Q4, but Q1 and going forward, how are you seeing those geographies?
Yeah, so international business at the moment last year did very well for us. So overall, we would have grown by around 8 percentage points in international business, and our profits were also of the international business doing very well. Across geographies, we performed exceedingly well. In the last quarter also, our Egypt business grew by 14%, and it was almost 47%, 50%. Then US business was at around 11% growth. So Sub-Saharan Africa again 17% growth for us. Our Middle East and North Africa business, which is also a very profitable business for us, has seen economic headwinds because of the oil prices going down and a lot of expats moving back from Middle East back to India also, because a lot of stocks have been withdrawn with Arabs as well. Category declines will also happen. So there is a pressure, but rest of the places are reasonably all right at the moment for international business. And to hedge this problem of Middle East, we'll have no other way but to introduce new categories into newer categories and strengthen our distribution in Middle East.
Got it. The second last question was, on the Ayurvedic innovations and the OTC ethical innovations opportunity that we're seeing right now. Just wanted to pick your brain on the fact that, do you see this as a kind of sticky opportunity, something that's going to, stick by even 6 months to 9 months down the line, then probably things get a little better in terms of a recovery? Do you see the consumer kind of, staying by these categories, these new products that you're launching, and or is this more of an opportunistic, way of thinking about it?
So in my mind, healthcare is generally not opportunistic. It is generally it sustains over a period of time. If you look at hygiene, that could be opportunistic. Because, the sanitizers had come in the past also and then they disappeared if legacy is what we have to see. So that could be a little opportunistic. But I think healthcare is generally a behavior that made ingrained. So maybe it goes down a little bit, but because this is preventive healthcare, this is not curative healthcare. Had it been curative healthcare, it would have been good for a time and then it would have gone down. But because it is preventive and is general immunity boosting, so I think this will sustain over a period of time. And this comes from the Ayurvedic route. So in India, definitely it's sustained. The way Chyawanprash is sustained. If Chyawanprash is anything to go by, Chyawanprash is also not a very great product to be had. But people have been consuming Chyawanprash over 135 years now and in taste, and it's been growing year on year. If Chyawanprash is anything to go by, then I think this will be hardwired in the psyche of the consumer and it will be sustainable and enduring. It will not be something which has come in and will vanish.
Very clear, sir. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankit Babil from Shipcom Ventures. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Sir, you did mention that, you're expecting a huge surge in the rural market because of the shift in, shift of the migrant laborers to that place. And urban will have some problems because of that sentiment of resident, etc. So do you think that the surge in rural will compensate equally any trend expected in the urban market for you as a company?
Now, it's very difficult for me to say whether rural will compensate for the urban or not. But just to let you know that urban is also doing reasonably well. When I said urban not doing so well, that was basically for the city urban. But if you look at e-commerce urban is doing exceedingly well for us. So that business is growing by 100%. And I feel that and rural put together should be able to compensate for the urban business. Because urban also has a partial wholesale element to it. And that wholesale is a feeder to rural. So the balance part of urban, which is the primary consumption of urban into urban, should, I think, be compensated. But it's not that it will go to be completely vanished. Yeah, there will be a pressure there on consumption, but it will return back to normalcy.
So, sir, would it be fair for us to assume that, for the year as a whole, we will at least manage to show a flat kind of a growth? I mean, whatever you have lost in the first quarter, you'll recover it in the next few quarters, assuming there is no second wave of virus and, the lockdown doesn't get extended. That is our basic assumption. In that case, is it fair to assume at least you'll be, positive territory for the year as a whole?
Yeah, I think I would not criticize into the future, but as of now, it's too early for us to say whether we will be able to. We are attempt and we'll target. If the COVID normalizes, we'll target a pre-COVID growth rate. That's what we will do, and we are growing at mid to high single digits. That is what we will target post the COVID gets over and we return to normalcy. We have not yet made the target. That's why we postponed our target making. to the month of July. Hopefully things will normalize after June end. Then we will make the targets. And if things are normal and there is no lockdown number 5, then we will make a target of 5% to whatever between mid to high single digit growth rate. And if that compensates the deficit, then I keep my fingers crossed we can reach the last year level. But international business is also very volatile at the moment. So there are headwinds there. So I can't comment with surety. I think the situation is too volatile for us to give you any sort of guidance at the moment.
Okay, and the last question is that since you mentioned that there could be a possible downtrading in lower unit prices, so usually the margins in those categories are less. So for the company as a whole in this context, do we assume that there will be pressure on margins, or with the cost reductions and everything you'll be able to compensate that, and for the company as a whole you'll maintain this 20-21% kind of EBITDA margin this year?
We will target to maintain the EBITDA margins, if not increase them, because we embarked on Samriddhi projects. There could be some incremental increase in operating margin which may happen because of Samriddhi, but that will be plowed back into brand building and supporting the lot of new products that we guys have launched. So we would want to maintain our margins at least to the last year levels, go back to the last year pre-COVID levels. That definitely will be an attempt and target for us to do. When launching NPDs today, it's also a business continuity planning that one has to do. One can't just keep higher gross margins in mind and decide new product entries, because what we have learned during this COVID period is the companies which were into staples and which were into more essentials are the ones which did well, and the companies which were into discretionary like ours have got impacted quite a bit. So there will be an attempt to hedge that risk that we carry at the moment going forward. So we will consciously retool our brand and category mix to ensure that if tomorrow a similar situation arises, we don't have a downfall the way we saw in these 1.5 months. So we'll retool our category entry strategy also.
Okay. Great, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of V. Rajkumar, an individual investor. Please go ahead. Good evening, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Just a couple of questions. The first one is, there was a recent report yesterday which says that it takes 2 years for India to go back to the pre-pandemic growth rate. So, given that, I just want to know, that report is, for the moment, I assume that's correct. So, I just want to know how, as a company, Dabur will kind of try to maintain the growth. So, because what I'm trying to say is the size of the pie will come down because of low growth rate expected. So are you going to look at increasing of market share, or are you going to increase, in terms of introducing new products?
Rashma, we've not quite got your question. If you could summarize once again.
Yeah, please speak a bit louder.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now we can hear you better.
Yeah. Sir, my question is, there was a recent report yesterday which says that India will take another 3 years to see the pre-pandemic growth rate coming back into the system. So given that, I just want to know, as a company, how you're looking at, how do you think that you'll be able to maintain your, growth rate? Because that report is, for a moment, assume that it's correct. So I just want to know, what is the nexus between the GDP vis-a-vis the Dabur's growth rate? So will you be able to withstand that kind of a scenario and still, maintain a growth momentum?
Yeah. So I don't think, at least for the FMCG category, we will take 3 years to reach the pre-COVID level. I think maybe other industries or other sectors may face this issue, but as far as FMCG is concerned, there will be a gradual recovery, and we expect a U-shaped recovery happening here. It will not be a 3 year sort of a dent on the FMCG growth path. And before COVID also, we were seeing a downtrend in the FMCG growth numbers. But in my view, post-COVID, it should not take us that long for us to go back. So to support that, one will have to get into newer categories, launch newer products, look at different ways of working, do collaboration with different partners, and do better distribution, reach out more to rural, launch affordable price products, and a whole host of things which will enable that kind of a return to that growth, which we are already embarking on.
Okay. So is it being correct to assume that you will see some kind of a contraction this year, and then hopefully from next year onwards you'll be on a growth path?
As I told you, we want to cover up that contraction that we would see because of COVID. We target ourselves post-COVID, mid to high single-digit growth rate. That's what we target ourselves. And next year, definitely, we would want to go back to our pre-COVID growth levels.
Okay. So the second question is on the hair oil segment. I just want to know what is the contribution of hair oil to the overall sales, and do you see any structurally any negative changes on the hair oil segment? Because I have been reading some of the other companies' report, and they have been saying that they have been seeing negative volume growth, for the last 2-3 quarters. So I just want to know what is the Dabur's view on that.
See, hair oil contribution to our business is around 15%. So that's the contribution to our business. We are not over-dependent on hair oil. If you look at the category of hair oils is declining at around 3 percentage points. 3% is the category decline. 3% category decline, we as per our syndicated data are showing a growth of 1.1%, whereas our internal numbers are showing a growth of around 3.7 to 4% is our growth rate in hair oil. So we are gaining share in Amla, in Brahmi Amla, in Sarso Amla, and all other brands. In coconut oil, we have lost out. But I think next year our attempt will be to gain share from the market leader even in coconut oil. We see a lot of opportunities there. And we are also launching value-added hair oils more. So I don't think there's any problem with the category. Category is penetrated at the level of 90% in India. So I think it will really come back. We see a decline, but declines are cyclical in the economy. So we will turn the bend after some time, and then we will go back on the growth path in hair oil as a category also.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All the best. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amit. Go ahead.
Hi team. Thanks for the opportunity. My first question is, if I look at your hair oil and oral care numbers for the quarter, the glasses are significantly higher than the market.
Operator, I'm sorry to interrupt. Mr. Sinha, may we request you to use your handset, please? Your voice is different.
Am I audible now? Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question was on hair oil and oral care numbers for the domestic sales. The decline seems to be a tad higher compared to the other companies, especially the market leaders in the respective category. And given that you think market share, I was just kind of curious to understand, is it only the last 10 days phenomena, and if you can help with gap to categories, that would be great. Yeah.
Amit, we've been gaining market share in hair oils. In all sub-segments of hair oils, we've been gaining market share. Perfumed hair oils, Amla, Brahmi, Sarso, and more we've lost, I think, a little bit market share. But I think overall, our overall hair oil category, we've gained 60 basis points market share in the quarter. And we get the quarter-ending report in the month of April for Jan, Feb, March quarter. It's actually come in the month of May for us. So we have no reason to believe that we have lost share. While we would have done not as good as other companies is because of the shutdown of 10 days that we lost out, and we were not categorized as essential. Maybe our peer companies who have got hair oil, but they classify the hair oils as edible oil, and that was classified as essential, and they could do pantry filling, which we could not do. So maybe that could be the reason for hair oil. That is my guess. I'm not too sure about that, but I don't have a reason to believe why,
And having said that, I think now things are looking much better than, in fact, some of our oral care and hair care products are doing quite well.